Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm your host, and joining me this week is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Levi Fletcher. Levi, how you doing, man?
What up, guys?
Yes, what up, indeed.
How are you doing?
That's
I'm
right.
doing fine, Jimmy. How are you?
He's doing what up, guys. That's pretty good. I don't mind that. That's good. This week, we're doing things a little bit different. That's right. I'm sick.
Ooh, I'm just getting out of that.
Delicious. I'm drinking some Tang, because if it's good enough for the astronauts, well, it's good enough for me. And I don't really know if the astronauts are still drinking that or not, but I like to tell myself
I thought you were going to say if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. I was like, what?
No, if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gaggle.
Jimmy just giving, these geeks outside of his house, like Sunny D.
Yep, exactly. I always go with the tangy original Sunny D, none of that California breeze stuff. It always tasted weird to me. Anyway, we're talking about Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Now, this week, unlike most weeks, we're going to jump just right into spoilers. We don't want to bore you, because if you're listening to this, there's a really good chance that you've already seen this film. And if you haven't seen this film and you just want to get spoiled on it so you can save some money, I mean, that's completely your choice. It's not going to be as cool because we won't be able to describe it the same way as the visuals do. But we're just flipping that spoiler switch right away. Okay, you get it. This spoiler switch has been flipped. We're just going to kind of talk off the cuff, I think. Just have a conversation like Levi and I typically do over a lunch or something, because that's what Levi and I, we'll meet for lunch. We'll talk about these things for an hour or two. So Levi, just to start us off, when you walked out of the theater, what was your initial reaction? Good, bad, somewhere in between?
I felt closure.
Whoa. Closure. I like it.
Yeah, I felt closure on this chapter. I felt really good about it. I went into it kind of nervous, actually. So came out of the theater thinking, okay, that was a good end to this chapter, this 9-movie, 7 or 40 years, sprawling saga. I felt good about it.
Yeah. Okay, you felt good. What did you think about the kind of the end with Rey saying her name was Skywalker? Were you cool with that, or okay, you like that?
Yep, I'm cool with her taking on that name. I think she's earned it.
Okay.
She might not be blood-related Skywalker, but she earned that title.
See, now for me, I kind of wish, and I get that she can't really, maybe accepting her actual last name or lineage would not be great.
Well, what was she gonna say?
Right?
I'm Rey Palpatine, and the chick's like, oh.
Exactly. I like the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia are but I still, I don't know if it felt weird to call her Skywalker. It almost felt like they're trying to hedge their bets for the future to be she can still be a Skywalker.
I think everybody
though.
Was hoping oh, she's a Skywalker. She's gotta be like Luke's daughter or something.
Sure, yeah. I guess I don't know. It just seems weird to me because she really isn't a Skywalker, and it's fine that she isn't because a Palpatine. That's kind of cool. It'd be cool for her to take that name and kind of use it. I was watching Star Wars Theory, which is a great channel. They're one of the biggest Star Wars channels out there. And he was saying that, and that kind of resonated with me. Is I like the idea of her, saying I am a Palpatine and I'm going to change that name, even though the Emperor, Palpatine, that's always going to be known probably forever. But it would be kind of cool if she'd have been yeah, that's me too. But I guess there's still kind of that connotation, if you think about the worst dictators in our world, if somebody took that last name and was I will make it better, it would be such a hard sell. So I don't know if she should have even gone with it, but it's fine. I mean, it kind of closed it out. And the way you said it too, kind of closed up these 9 chapters. For me, it kind of felt like it just closed up 7 through 9. It did tie back into the older ones for sure. But this movie felt like such a lot of course corrections. Did you get that too? Did it feel like course correction city, or is that just me? Yeah,
no, it almost felt like you could put 7 and 9 right back in back and back.
Yeah, back to back.
Back to back to each other, and they flow really smoothly, and you can tell that Abrams had a clear vision of what he wanted, and a lot of people are griping. I've read a lot of criticism and just a lot of articles, and people are griping that they feel like it's trying to overcome The Last Jedi's, shortcomings. But
sure,
I still think Last Jedi is a solid movie. Yeah, there's definitely flaws to it, but besides pacing, I guess is the only thing that really makes, I guess, it jarring going from 7 to 8 to 9.
Okay, and what do you mean by that? What's got the best pacing? What's got the worst?
I mean, Force Awakens is just boom, 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 boom. You're moving, you're
Solid.
moving, you're moving.
Yeah.
And then the Last Jedi, there's a lot of breathing room. There's a lot of like, which looking back on it, I guess probably could have been used in a better way. Like, yeah, like it's cool to have a movie like breathe the Star Wars life a little bit, slow down a little bit, and kind of smell the roses, but maybe not do like a Vegas scene and instead do something different to enhance the story.
Sure. Yeah. And so how do you feel about this one then with the pacing?
I mean, that's the one thing, like the pacing thing again. It just picks up and it just zooms right to the end. There's no slowing down really.
Sure.
I mean, there's maybe a tiny places that they kind of slow down and they're like, hey, nostalgia factor here and nostalgia factor here. But
do you think a lot of this is because they've like there's a lot of, again, that I don't want to keep saying course correcting, I'm going to keep saying it, but it feels like they kind of had to hit the ground running with this one and say like, all right, here are the things we got to fix, and we only have this much time to do it, but we also have to wrap up this trilogy, but we also have to wrap up
But is fix the right word?
Is what?
Do you feel like they had to fix? Is fix the right word?
That's a good question. Yeah. I feel like maybe not fix, but I feel like appease another half of the fan base that was really frustrated with the last movie. That's the way I feel about it. So it's not necessarily fixed, but it's kind of like saying, all right, 8 was for all the people who who really enjoyed it, who were not traditional Star Wars, and this was a little more of like, this is pretty straightforward Return of the Jedi type stuff. You know what I mean? It was like, here's what you expect to happen, and this is how it goes down. I don't know.
I mean, I read a little thing recently that said even J.J. Abrams was like, you know what? Everybody's right.
Yes.
The haters, the lovers, you're all right. And I love that. Like, Star Wars has always been very divisive.
Yes.
Very, very, very divisive. Ever since probably like back in the 70s, right? People were confused by, Empire Strikes Back, like, things with Leia and Luke and like how they kind of like fix that as they went along, and it made some older scenes kind of awkward. And
sure,
once it comes to light that like they're brother and sister, and so I feel like it's always been a part of this series. Maybe that's what makes it so great, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I don't think
it's not perfect.
I don't think you'll ever appease everybody in a fandom, and I think it's because Star Wars is such a big fandom and everybody's so passionate about it, because you rarely talk to anybody who enjoys Star Wars who doesn't have like a true passion for it. And if you kind of talk to them about what their favorite things about Star Wars are, you can kind of narrow it down to like, oh, they really, really enjoy the original trilogy. They grew up with it. Those themes stick with them. Or like for you and myself, like I think it's not all of the prequel stuff, but a lot of that stuff we hold in high regard, and other people are like, yeah, right, that stuff's garbage. But we're just like, oh my gosh, like some of that stuff's really good. Like I love the lightsaber fights in 1, 2, and 3. They're really, really good. And like I haven't seen anything better since that, really, truly, not even in this one. And people keep talking about that too.
I'm also a huge fan of like just watching Ewan McGregor. He carries those movies. Wow.
Well, yeah, like good. Especially, I feel like in 3, he really gets the chance. Like that's the Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're like, yes, like give me that.
He's
TV
a captivating actor. Like he really makes you invested in what's going on.
So good. Yeah, he's just having a
doing
good
like
time.
The reconnaissance on like Camino and stuff for like. We're gonna get a tangent. It's fine.
That's fine.
That's what we do.
Do it.
Him getting into the reconnaissance mode and like Camino and just figuring out what's going on with the Clone Wars. Who's Sifon Dyas was like. I love that shit. Yeah.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And I think going back to the prequels, I felt like the prequels always had this kind of larger than life scale, and we'll get into it when we actually kind of rewatch them here with Joe. But that's what I was kind of hoping to see more so in these movies. And in this movie, it's kind of like the biggest and scariest it's ever been. Like imagine like 1,000 Star Destroyers with each of them holding like a Death Star laser underneath them, like the scariest possible situation. But it didn't really like shock me, or there's that moment where all the ships show up and it's like, oh, they're all just like, random folks from all over the galaxy, and that's kind of a cool moment, but then it kind of goes away. Like they don't linger on how big it is for too long, maybe. Whereas I feel like the prequels did that a little bit more, especially episode 3.
It's quite funny how like even Poe's like, oh yeah, of course they're all equipped with a Death Star, and then they're like, who are all these people? And they're like, they're just people. It's kind of comical.
Yeah,
but it's It's a little underwhelming when all the people come out because it's like you don't really know, like, well, where the hell are you from?
Yeah, I think another thing that's a little bit jarring, and I get the reason behind this, but apparently during the little sneak peek event for Fortnite where they showed Star Wars, like a little clip or whatever, that's where they sent out this transmission from the Emperor because, in the opening crawl, it kind of is like the dead speak, and Emperor Palpatine sent out this transmission to everybody about revenge and stuff. And I kind of wish that would have been in the movie. And I get why there's like this kind of marketing thing to say like, oh, it's in Fortnite and video games and movies, that cross-pollination. I totally get it. I love both those things. But I really, really would have loved to see at the very beginning of this movie, just like, people from all over the galaxy getting this weird radio transmission. And they're like, wait a second. And imagine if we didn't know Palpatine was in it and like you heard his voice, people would have been like, oh my gosh, like that would have been really cool. But we knew he was coming. And it feels like they just kind of forced him back in to this. Not that I'm sad that he's there. I love Palpatine. Don't get me wrong. But it did feel like they kind of shoehorned him back in and they're like, hey, he made Snoke. He's made a bunch of Snokes. Did you feel weird about that or were you cool with it?
Yeah, it was a little weird because there's no build-up unless you are a Fortnite fan. So
Sure.
It's like, oh boy. But it works. I feel like they did a good job with bringing him back and it felt like, oh my gosh, this is the big bad.
Sure.
This is the one who's always been pulling the strings. And that really actually helped my feelings with Snoke because it's like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Who is
Sure.
he? Who's his master? Who trained him? And it's like, oh, gotcha.
Would you have liked to see any kind of build up to him like in The Last Jedi?
I think it works.
You think it works?
Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of teaser at the end would have been nice.
Sure.
Instead of Broom Kid.
Yeah, which they kind of never followed up on that. They're like, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of wish we would have had more.
How underwhelming to make like Finn's position, like he's force sensitive, but you're not going to lean fully into that. Maybe not now.
And I guess that was the secret he was going to tell Rey the whole time.
Yep.
So
I read that.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have to read that. Like that should be apparent somewhere. Like, it should be in there and it shouldn't be that. And like, still, we don't know how Maz Kanata got Luke's lightsaber. I'm sure that'll be in a comic or a book or whatever. Like, yeah, it's still like,
and no one's saying that these characters are done just because it's like closing the Skywalker saga doesn't mean that they can't, we might still, maybe Finn's going to lead a new thing. Maybe Finn and Rey will revive the Jedi. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about Finn for a second. So Finn, we do get a little bit of this too, which is, I was happy to see this, but we run into some other stormtroopers and they talk about like how they put down all their weapons at one point because they weren't going to, fire on civilians and that they all kind of defected after that moment. Did you like having that in there?
I like the idea of that. I just felt like it was bad placing.
Sure.
That could have done well in The Last Jedi.
Sure.
I feel.
Yes, thank you.
I feel like that could have been done a lot better in The Last Jedi. I liked it. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I liked it. I liked that woman. I liked the, that idea. Timing might have been weird.
Sure.
Felt a little shoehorned in to the movie that was unnecessary. And it really could have been a cool idea had it been fully fleshed out.
Sure. Other question, follow up on that. Did you like the Avatar-esque like fighting on this like the Star Destroyer, like they got on those weird horse things? That felt really weird to me when they got like a ground assault on a Star Destroyer. They're like all on those horses. I was like,
it makes sense because there was a reason for that, but they didn't explain that. It was just like all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're using a ground support. They're like, what are they using? It's not ships. Like, no, it's animals. It's like that could have been explained a little bit better.
Well, I think the reason they went for that Star Destroyer because like they stopped, they're beaming that signal to that one antenna on the ground, and the other Star Destroyer was going to take up that signal, so they decided to launch a ground assault on a ship while it was like going up in the air. I just thought it looked kind of weird. I was like, I want. In Star Wars, I feel like they don't really put an emphasis on the war part, and that's why I liked Rogue One so much. Is like I liked that it was kind of like focused around a battle that felt tangible.
What would have worked better had the Codebreaker not been on Canto Bight, but the Codebreaker was in their mix of the people like that,
Oh, sure.
and instead of those horses things we got in Last Jedi, maybe could have been these horses,
Oh, sure.
which would have helped kind of solidify this a little bit better,
Sure.
and then maybe that story would have gone smoother, fleshed out the story of the stormtroopers there,
Yeah.
skip the Vegas scene that people hated, introduce like these horse things, and then that maybe would have been more impactful.
Sure. And then maybe
Would have made a better story and led
yeah.
better into Rise of Skywalker.
And then have like Ray find that little kid with the broom and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're force sensitive. Like maybe I should train you." Like that would have
Yeah.
been like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get at this point. It's
We
just
didn't need like a
Yeah.
horse neglect thing. We didn't need like an
Yeah.
animal cruelty thing.
That was weird.
Subplot and
It was not great. Yeah, but if she's a Palpatine, then I could buy that she could kind of like sense other Force users, at least if she's nearby them to some degree. But I don't mind her whole lineage thing. I think that's cool. So we talked about Rey, we talked about Finn. Let's talk about Poe a little bit and his new, potential love interest, kind of back and forth. Zuri, I think is her name, played by she was Felicity, I think. I forget her name. I
did like that character. Was she a bounty hunter?
Seemed kind of like it, maybe. I like how she's like,
cool.
"I'll never
I
help
liked
you
it.
ever," and then like maybe 20 seconds later, she's like, "Yeah, I'll help." But I liked her. I wanted
Typical Star Wars fashion.
I wanted more of her, and there's this great moment at the end where they're kind of looking at each other, and he kind of like gives her a nod, she gives him a nod, then he kind of does like a, and she's like, and he's like, and they don't talk at all, and they're like 50 feet apart. I was like, oh man, they've got like a good like chemistry, and I was really enjoyed the little bits of time we got with her, and I was happy she survived that the planet getting decimated, but at the same time, I remember thinking it kind of lessened the stakes because there's like 2 or 3 times in this movie where someone was dead for sure, and then they just showed back up, and you're like, oh,
well, and they're like talking about like these kids. They're like, oh, the First Order took these kids, and it's like, well, what's going on with that? And then like, oh, the kids are dead now. So, what?
Oh, which kids?
They had like a little scene where like Poe and her are looking
Yes.
in the distance, and they're like, what's going on over there? And it's like, they're like, oh, the First Order took the kids a long time ago, and it's like, what's happening here?
Sure. There's a lot to unpack with this movie, and they're moving real quick. What'd you think? I know some people are freaking out about Babu Freak, the little droid engineer guy. I think he's cute. I think he's fine. He's no Baby Yoda.
I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah.
He wasn't overplayed. I don't think he was underplayed. I think he was just fine. He was no Dimitri in Avengers. Like,
what?
Dimitri? Was the Peter Dinklage?
You're talking not Dimitri. You're talking about
What's that dude's name? The one that forges the axe.
I totally forgot about him, and I'm so glad they didn't bring him back for Endgame. You're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, he wasn't a character like that. He wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a jarring pull you out of the movie experience.
Yeah.
Like, he was just this cute little alien dude that I thought he was fine.
Yeah, I thought he was good too. I will say this: I really don't think they needed Dio, the new robot, which was voiced by J.J. Abrams. I guess I was like, why does like I feel like R2-D2 has like BB-8, and then BB-8 like needed some like it's like they have to just like every droid's got a droid.
I think it was fine. I guess they also didn't overplay that, which was nice. So.
I just felt like that was the most merchandisey type thing that was in there. No offense to him, it was just like I saw that, I was like, guys, come on. I was like, you already have BB-8. Focus on BB-8. If this is the last time we're gonna see him.
And what was the deal with that droid? What was his purpose?
He was on that ship of the assassin who killed Rey's parents. Maybe, I think. Also, I will say this about droids: 3PO, I think, was maybe the best in this than he's ever has been, and I loved the jokes. He had a lot of great like little lines that I thought were really good, and I also, again, we lost him, but then we brought him back. I don't think he's had enough time with these other characters to be like, I'm taking one last look at my friends. I was like, I don't know if it was enough time to be like, there might have been a lot of time in between that we don't see that. I think that would have played better if he would have been looking at Leia or, at Luke at a time or, at Solo or something. But it just felt kind of weird. Did that feel weird to you or did that feel earned?
Both. 3PO to me kind of, he kept ruining the seriousness of some, like every single scene he was in. Yes, his dialogue was a lot better, but he almost kind of undercut all the scenes with this what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Here's the
Where you try
comedy
to
relief.
inject comedy relief. There
Yeah.
you go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need a comedy relief in every single scene. Let the scene breathe
Sure.
and make its point.
He wants to let the scenes breathe. I love it. Which, by the way, I love the whole healing of the snake thing. Which
Oh, I love that too.
I didn't
That was great.
realize. I finally got around to watching the most recent episode of The Mandalorian. I'm like, there's more healing. So force healing's a thing. Don't everybody lose their minds over it, okay? But you know, okay, let's talk about Chewbacca for a second here. Love Chewie. Chewie's great.
Dude, they should have killed him.
They probably should have killed him, and I know it sounds really
Yes.
bad. When he died, I was like, "Whoa!" I thought, or when we thought that he died, it's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like this is like, I love it. This is what they did with Hedwig. I feel bad about this, but like, they killed Hedwig in the beginning of the second to last movie of Harry Potter. That's when you know it's serious. When they start dropping people, like even kind of lesser characters, but you're like, "Whoa,
The stakes
nobody,
are high.
yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
safe, nobody's safe," and I thought that whole tug of war between Rey and Kylo was cool, and it felt a little Force Unleashed, is kind of what I've been hearing from the internet. But I also loved it because I was like, finally, someone's trying to grab a ship with the Force, and she like lightnings it, and I was like, oh, and I didn't think that was.
love that.
I didn't think it was Palpatine right away, but I was like, oh my god, like she inadvertently killed Chewie. She's gonna have to live with that. Like she's gonna have to be like, oh my gosh, like I lost it for a second. I thought that was so cool.
Force lightning isn't just a Palpatine thing, is it?
No, it's not. It's just like a Sith dark side
Can
thing.
Vader use Force lightning?
Vader, so okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Star Wars fanatics, and I'm sitting here with a Darth Vader shirt. In the past, they said that he couldn't because of his electronics and his robotic limbs. But there's also like a Jedi version. Like I think Plo Koon used to know a version of like a Jedi Force lightning, so it wasn't like always evil. But yeah, Vader can't technically, because if he does, it gets bad because it messes up all this stuff. So he might be able to, but it's like he can't, he shouldn't, type of thing. Anakin could have for sure. And that's why I think in the game, when you go to the dark side in episode 3, they give you lightning. I'm like, yes, lightning. But anyway, I like that little back and forth. It kind of sucked, but I did like how they resolved it quickly enough where she kind of sensed that he was on that Star Destroyer above them at the next planet. And she's like, Chewie's alive. And it wasn't like one of those, like, they had to reveal him to the whole crew thing. It was like, oh, they're going to get Chewie. I get that. You know what I mean? They're not going to leave him behind, which I appreciated. But that kind of leads.
I would have been fine if they had just killed him.
Yeah, I thought that would have been cool too. And maybe they were just like, well, Leia's probably going to go out this time, and we don't want to take him out too. I will say this: I'm glad they finally gave him the medal. I know this has happened like in the comics and the stuff in the past, but it was just nice to see that like little. It was almost like J.J. Abrams sat down and he wrote like 5 or 10 things. He's like, well, just try to rectify this stuff so people can stop complaining. He's like,
oh yeah,
we never got a medal in A New Hope, and he's like, he gets a medal. Like, just give him a freaking medal. Like,
that like gold bar thing.
He gets like, yeah, it's like the necklace thing with the circle.
Oh, that I thought you were talking about, because wasn't he handed something else, like a gold bar?
I don't
like a gold like belt.
No, that's like his regular bandolier.
Was that Han's belt?
No, he's got like that regular gray silver bandolier. They like give that's like his thing that he wears because he was like.
I thought he was given like a gold like belt thing. And I thought that belonged to Han. Maybe I'm seeing the movie again on Christmas, so I'll have to.
Okay, yeah, just double check.
Yeah.
But I thought that was nice that they rectified that. But that sequence where they go to get Chewie, they're kind of dropping stormtroopers. I love that bit. But Rey fighting Kylo and kind of taking that idea from the Last Jedi of that kind of Force connection, and they kind of fight each other when they're in 2 different places. I thought that was really interesting and kind of compelling. Yeah. And I was like, oh, there's one thing that they kind of looked at and said, all right, what worked in this movie and what didn't for us. And I think
that was one of my favorite things about Last Jedi. I thought, they're back and forth.
Yeah, and I liked how they kind of took it to the next level. They're like, all right, let's do a lightsaber fight. It's like she's on the ground of this place, but she's actually up in the Star Destroyer, and vice versa for Kylo, and he still couldn't sense where she was. And he's kind of like, where are you? And then he's like, oh, you're up in my room, kind of thing. And I was like, that was cool to me. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, like they splash like a basket and the beads fall where she is, or
kind of. But then like you look at the ground and sometimes the beads aren't there. I was watching for this stuff. I don't know why I'm a psycho like that. I did like that. The lightsaber.
How did you think about Kylo Ren like in this movie versus other movies?
I wanted his redemption, but at the same time, I kind of wish it hadn't been I did it. It hadn't been the way. It was too straightforward here, I think. I like that he had that moment where he was he was gonna win his fight against Rey for sure, and then she stabs him, and then because he's like thinking about Leia, she kind of like ports into his mind or something happens. I wish they would have had a moment to talk, but I wanted him to keep the red lightsaber, and I get that he had to throw it away, and I liked that he got to talk to his dad one more time, like in his head. I guess he's kind of losing it. I don't know. It felt kind of weird to just give him the opportunity or the task to take out his own guard. Like they kind of said, like we got to give one last kind of fight scene in this movie, and he's just gonna. And I wanted the Knights of Ren to be so cool, and I felt like they were so like just kind of wasted, or I wanted more from them. I really wanted to be like, oh, these are the Knights of Ren. Like, come on.
I thought that so when Luke was rebuilding the Jedi Temple, I thought that he killed a couple of the Jedi, right? And then he also took some with him, and I thought those were the Knights of Ren. So shouldn't they have lightsabers?
I don't think they are Jedi. They might be Force sensitive, but I don't know if any of them have lightsabers, or if they were Jedi, acolytes or anything. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's the thing is that they're still.
They feel like the Boba Fett of this movie.
They feel
way too easily.
That's a really good point, dude. That's a real. And again, you think if it would have been like this would have been 8. This would have been episode 8. In 9. The ones that had survived would be like a real grudge, or they might have been actually like actors with faces, and just be like, all right, he's got the hammer, he's got the sword, he's got the bow, like stuff like that. Even though I liked how they looked, I thought it was cool, and he was kind of rolling with him in the very beginning. I was like, oh, that's great. And he had the mask on right away. Kylo did, and Hux is like, Kylo's like, you got a problem with how I look, Hux? He's like, no, of course not. Which I enjoyed. I enjoyed Hux in this one. I think they tried to redeem him a little. I was surprised when he died. I felt like that was shockingly quick. Did you feel like that was quick?
Who was that dude? Where the hell did he come from?
Or Pride? Yeah. So I guess Pride was one of the people who served the Emperor way back in the day. So that's he just did, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. And I guess that means Phasma's dead. Is Captain Phasma like dead?
She's dead.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what a waste.
Even J.J. Abrams or something was super unhappy about it because they wanted her to be able to do something in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of going back to Kylo again, at least as far as my take, like, I didn't really care for Kylo in the first movie. Felt like he was just a big baby.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I feel like, and he was just kind of like hulking around. He's like, I'm Kylo Ren. Like, but I feel like Adam Driver really honed it in on Last Jedi and this movie.
Yeah.
I loved his acting. I loved his emotion. I might even like him more than Anakin and Darth Vader. I know.
No,
sorry.
Okay. You can say that. Yeah.
Just because you don't really ever get to see like them unleash, But,
yeah, I would love to get. Well, that's the thing is we got Kylo Ren at that age for 3 movies, where we get Anakin at that age for 1 movie.
Yeah.
It's like I would love to see that. I will say this.
Movie,
Yeah, I would love to see. Or like a whole movie dedicated like this, but the beginning of this movie where he's like going to get the Sith navigator, and he might be on Mustafar, or he's fighting some sort of rebel group or something like that, and then he gets to Exegol, and he like, I love that whole like, he's like a man on a mission, he's adventuring, it's like creepy Sith and all. So I was like, that's so cool. I loved how it looked. I was like, this looks so great right now. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I want more of him just like on a mission, like fighting his, like, I just wanted more. I wanted more of it.
I think that's what we need. We need like a Jedi focused movie. I feel like that would be really, really cool. It's just to really scale it down and make it a really like Sith temple, Jedi temple.
Sure.
Jedi's learning how to, are training and fighting Sith, and like I feel like it would be really cool to get like a movie honed in on that.
Well, maybe that's why we like the prequel so much, is because like you look at the original trilogy and it kind of splits it between like Luke and then like Han and Leia, but in the original trilogy, almost all the time it's focused on like the Jedi like doing missions. And I think that's something that's really compelling. Like I love, in 3 he's going like Utapau and Mustafar and like all these places. But in this one, it kind of felt like that. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it. I was like, here we go. We got a competent, Force wielder who's kind of moving throughout the worlds and stuff. I enjoy that.
I mean, just like, through the series, you get bits and pieces of it, right? You get like in Last Jedi, you get like the Jedi text, right? And you hear a little bit about Jedi Temple, and you get, now you see like this Sith stuff, and like that's what's super compelling to me about Star Wars. That's what I love the most is like Jedi, how they make their weapons. all that shit. Like I love that. I know you only really get to dig into that in the games, but like why?
Yeah, no, I totally get
Make
it.
a movie where like this Jedi learns the ways and they make their own lightsaber and they fucking go to town.
What about a TV show that I'm not no Disney
Obi-Wan.
no Disney Plus, Luke training Ben.
Oh, that'd
Back
be awesome.
when they're like he's just starting. I think that's coming. I really do, because there's something compelling about thinking, okay, Luke is given this big responsibility to kind of raise his nephew, and under the watchful eyes of Han and Leia to some degree, but kind of how they work together. And that could be, a season or 2 seasons, maybe 3 if you really stretch it out. But how it ends, which is unfortunate because The Last Jedi kind of like, this is how it ended, right? But it would be so cool to watch them bond and form that bond so much, and it would just be even more heartbreaking. It'd be kind of like Anakin and Obi-Wan, where you're like, no, like, dude, don't do bad things, So that, oh my gosh, and then just watching him like ransack, that temple or that kind of training ground that Luke put up, that would be really cool. I think that would be very sweet. And to watch Luke, I always wanted Luke to have like a flashback where it was him versus Kylo in the Knights of Ren. I always thought it was coming. I was like, this is going to be so cool. This is going to be so cool.
I think something like this has got to be coming.
It's got to be,
They've
right?
never, ever had a moment. Well, I don't know. I've never watched like the Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've
Good
obviously
shows.
played like Jedi Outcast and stuff, but we have to be getting some kind of movie where it's like all about Jedi, you know what I mean? Or all about Sith, and it's got to be coming in some kind of media form.
Well, I still think it's untapped potential, but I really think they'll do the Old Republic someday, and just kind of Game of Thrones-y-ish, but also just like tons and tons of Jedi versus tons and tons of Sith, and just kind of
love that.
You just focus on like one group of Sith and one group of Jedi, and just kind of their daily lives and how they interact and all that stuff. And the nice thing is, it's thousands of years before this stuff happens, so you can literally have it almost be any outcome, and it's not really going to affect the future.
Yeah,
right? You could just do whatever you want.
I had heard that they were going to put Revan like in this series, and they were going to make him canon. That didn't happen.
They're saving him. I think they're saving all that stuff just for the right time, the right moment.
Dude, can you imagine an Old Republic series?
I want to be in that. I just want to be a Sith in the freaking Old Republic. Oh my, on Korriban or whatever. Like, oh my gosh, like to see like this like Sith homeworld stuff. Like that's. Forget about it. Anyway, let's get back to this movie. Let's see. We've talked about pretty much all the main characters. Let's talk about the big bad, though. My boy's back. Palpatine. He's back. He's not. He's looking a little weird. He's looking a little different than he used to. He's got that kind of the crane thing on his back. And did you like how he looked originally, or did you enjoy more so how he looked once he kind of drained the life force from both Kylo and Rey?
I liked both.
Okay.
I feel like he fits the part of like obviously someone that I got thrown down an electrical chute and blew up a little bit. That machine has to be keeping him alive.
Yes.
How I want to know how he lived. I want to know where he's been.
Yeah.
Has he just been biding his time, regrowing his strength like Voldemort? Or
how did he get all those followers? Are those all clones? Like, what's going on with that? Yeah, it was a little weird. I really wanted to see him, like, originally just sitting in that gigantic throne. And they didn't get him fully back to the look of Episode 3, which I love and I've always thought is so creepy. But once he gets that life force from both of them, and he's got his little, like, Sith, like, scarf or whatever. It's, like, a little red. Like, he's got, like, he's looking pretty good. I was like, here he is. And I loved his, like, lightning tree that he did. And of course, he didn't blow up all the ships right away, which is probably what would have happened. But I thought that was so neat where he was.
Well, if he was at full capacity, he probably would have.
Well, I think he was though. Like I think it was just he didn't do it, or it was just he could only summon enough. It was strange, but I liked that. What I didn't like is that we didn't really get a lightsaber fight. Because we know the guy can throw down. I didn't like how he got destroyed the same way he got like revealed to be the Sith in in Episode 3. I'm like, how did you like? It just seems like it's kind of boring.
Lightsaber fight, I guess you got in this movie were Rey versus Kylo, and then him killing his knights.
Which, by the way, like, did you like those lightsaber fights?
They're fine.
Yeah.
Again, I think we kind of chatted about this. Like, we like the choreography from the prequels for a reason. I like the fluid Jedi fighting, and it just seems like their fighting is a little sloppy. They're like just like hacking at each other, and it's like
Yeah, and there's a lot of like I think there's I don't want to call it a fear of this, but there's not a lot of like wide, static shots of the fights, or there's a lot of close-ups or mid shots where it's just kind of like their faces and you kind of see like the lightsaber.
I think that's because of they're trying to play off like the 4, 5, and 6 deal.
Maybe, sure. Maybe more of like the emotions in the fight as opposed to the fight itself. Because I thought the fights were fine, but they still don't have that sense of danger. And I also think it's because in Force Awakens, there's a few people who get hit with lightsabers and they don't die immediately. So, like, I remember back when episode 2, I mean, Obi gets hit a little bit and he kind of passes out. So I shouldn't say, like, if you get hit with a lightsaber, you're going to die. But it always felt like those fights, if they got one hit on you, it was done. Like, with Darth Maul's like, dink, dink, like, you're like, oh, whoa, he's gone. Like, it's just like that. But I don't know. Which, by the way, Obi-Wan wouldn't have known Force Heal, so don't everybody freak out about like, why couldn't he have saved Qui-Gon? It was different. He did not know it. He did not know it. He was a Padawan.
You had to know it.
He's a Padawan, all right. Yeah, but yeah, I thought the lightsaber fights were fine. I think the most compelling one was that. Well,
Leia taught Rey how to do that. So
sure, yeah. Oh, is that how? Okay, that makes sense. But the most compelling lightsaber fight, I think, was probably the one where she's in the Star Destroyer and he's on the ground, and there's that kind of like they destroy a thing, like Vader's helmet hits the ground, like Which I was also sad about that, like they just said like Palpatine was all the voices. He was Snoke, he was Vader, he was everything. I was like, oh, so Vader wasn't talking to Ben ever. I guess.
Oh, it was always Palpatine?
Yeah, because remember there's one moment where he's like, I am every voice you've ever heard, and it sounded like Vader, but that's because Palpatine just made himself sound like Vader. I was like,
Did we ever hear Vader talk to Ben?
He does for 1 second, but it's like, it's in the beginning, early on, when he meets him originally, but it's not really Vader. Oh. So, and also, he wouldn't know how Vader sounds, only we would know that, because Vader was dead.
Wait, which movie was this?
This is in this movie.
That you hear Vader talking to
it's like
Kylo?
Yeah, it's like for like a half second because he starts as Snoke and then he turns into Vader. He's like, I am every voice you've ever heard. Like like that. I was like,
Oh, but I mean, like in like Force Awakens or Last Jedi, when he's like talking to his grandfather, he doesn't ever answer back.
No, exactly, no, which is sad because like you wish that. But were you cool with that, with Palpatine kind of being like the guy who's like, yep, I've been all these voices always?
To Ben. Not like in throughout history.
Yeah, just to Ben.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, to Ben, yes, because so that he's been, he like takes on the voice of Count Dooku, and he's like, hey, because you also get a little bit of Darth Maul in there too, don't you?
Do you get Count Dooku? What?
I heard Count Dooku.
I think you're nuts. You have to go back and listen to this. Well,
I will. I swear it was like Count Dooku, and then it was also because I heard a little bit of what's his name?
Snoke.
No. Who plays Count Dooku?
Christopher Lee?
Yes. Heard a little bit of Christopher Lee in there when they were doing the voices.
Really?
I swear.
Okay. Yeah. They must have had old voice lines because he's no longer with us. So, maybe, I guess. Well, also, like, but then he's like, in Force Awakens, he's like, I will finish what you started, grandfather. Like, I was like, what the heck? Like, so what's Palpatine trying to... Anyway, I guess it's neither here nor there. I thought it was kind of weird to have that be the kind of, like, I've just been every voice in your head. And it was almost for the audience, it's almost like for us. So it's like... Okay, but it does make me sad, really sad, that we get a lot of Hayden Christensen's voice. We don't get his Force Ghost. This would have been the perfect flippin' time. Like, oh my goodness. Like, wouldn't this have, if he would have come, like, I thought they were going to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I thought all the ghosts of the Jedi were going to pop up and fight Palpatine or something. I thought for sure that was going to happen. And then it didn't, which is fine. But I really wanted to see him. Did you want to see him? I really wanted to see him.
Yeah.
It hurt.
So just for a sec, going back to those voices, I'm going to list off really quick all the voices that we heard there for the Jedi.
Okay, yeah, for the Jedi, because yes.
So Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Both versions.
Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano's in there, yeah, for sure.
Yep. Kanan Jarrus.
Oh, Kanan Jarrus.
Kanan Jarrus, yeah. Luminara Unduli.
Yes.
She says the light find the light ray. But she died really quick. Like, she didn't stand a chance to Palpatine. Didn't he cut her down?
No, she wasn't in there. She was in Attack of the Clones, and she's also
that wasn't the chick. Okay,
no, different one. She's in Clone Wars as well.
Though I hated how those Jedi died so fast. Like,
Yeah, I know they explain it like in the book, like he like was just so fast, but
yeah. Uh, Isla Sakura.
Ayla Secura, she died
Yep.
in Flucia.
Yep. Mace Windu.
Yep.
Addie Galea. Love her.
Who's she again?
Addie Galea. She's in Star Wars Jedi Power Battles.
Okay.
She's the one. She's the one with like the kind of like the flaps of hair that come down, like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
And remember, she like the ones that holds the lightsaber behind her.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Yoda, Luke Skywalker, and gosh, I wish I could see a Sith one. But yeah, I mean that's a lot of voices. I know that J.J. Abrams said, "Oh, if you like Clone Wars, you might really like this because Ahsoka's in it."
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. And then Kanan Jarrus from Rebels and stuff. And I thought people said Ezra Bridger, but I don't know if he was or wasn't in there. It's really quick. I just really wanted to see Anakin. I really wanted to. I thought for sure this was gonna be him, like, you know, putting his hand like on her hand or something at that moment, and she kind of looked at him, and we would have known, and she could have kind of understood it, you know, like,
yeah.
that would have been just tops, baby. I would have been like, yep, there we go, 10 out of 10. Like, that's all I needed to see, because I thought it was kind of boring to have just two lightsabers be the reason that she beat him. You know, she was using Force, you know, and stuff like that too, but I thought it was kind of anticlimactic. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
For what now?
How Palpatine dies. Two lightsabers.
Oh,
Force lightning reflecting.
I just wish they weren't both blue lightsabers.
Yeah, that's true too.
I wish it had been his green one. Where is his green lightsaber? Did he?
Luke's?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably just chilling out back on Octu.
Yeah. I get it. It's fine. I liked it. I thought it was good. She blocks it and then she like.
Don't you want something more? It's Palpatine. We've seen this dude throw down with Yoda.
Yeah, but I would have been dissatisfied to see her like kind of scissor cut him like Dooku.
That would have been sick. Well, he has a lightsaber, man, or he has in the past. It would have been so cool to see him bust one out.
Or maybe she like uses the Force and like it goes and like pincers him or something. It was something cool, but I liked how it rebounded and like it zapped him up and fully destroyed him this time. So.
I guess. I just wish he would have had like one or two sitting like on his throne, because he would have been like, oh, if I'm gonna take Rey's body, I'm gonna have my lightsaber.
He has his lightsaber.
He probably does.
I thought he lost it in that fight with
Nah, he's got it.
In that fight, well, he never uses it again.
Yeah.
Last time he used it was against Yoda.
Yeah, he just keeps it. He keeps up his little sleeves. Oh man, it would have been so. What did you think of that kind of Force like vision with her with that weird double-sided red lightsaber that she like kind of clicked into position?
That was awesome.
You like? Yeah, I don't like the clicking.
They're always coming up with these crazy Sith or these like Swiss Army knife kind of lightsabers.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. It like goes down and
I just felt like
I didn't like the pointed teeth. Like she didn't need to have like pointed teeth.
She had to. I just don't know the clicking. I was like, if you want to be Darth Maul, but just do it. I thought for sure we were gonna get some sort of like kind of Jedi Fallen Order situation where she was gonna take Luke and Leia's and either dual wield them or like her staff, like try to put them together and then spin it. You know what I mean? Like double-sided. I thought double-sided blue was coming for sure. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. But it's just like she does dual wield them, I should say, but it was just mostly just like make an X and then which I thought was kind of boring. You actually
don't see a lot of dual wielding. It's like the only times you really see dual wielding, I think, are in this one, Anakin.
Episode 2,
yeah, and then against Grievous too.
I guess. Well, he's like quad dueling, right? But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted more of a fight with Palpatine. That's all I'm trying to say. I
get it, but they couldn't just draw it out so long.
That's true. I just say cut all the Dio stuff and just do like a really quick lightsaber fight, just like super duper fast. No,
you feel like he should have forced like Kylo to strike him down, then take over Kylo's body, and then they have like this epic lightsaber fight to the death.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so compelling. Like, because I feel like it ends like Kylo dying didn't really impact me. I would have felt much worse when like Rey got that hit on Kylo and she like stabbed him in the abdomen and he's kind of like, whoops, like that was like, oh wow, like it would have been cool, I guess, to see that. Yeah, I wish that could have been a little bit different.
I liked Ben's redemption and I liked him helping her out, and I didn't like how Palpatine just kind of like force pushed him.
Yeah, I guess people were like saying, it's like probably because he was a little in this movie, he's a bit stronger, it seems like, than Rey, because he kind of gets pushed down that. He's the one who stands up first. He gets back up first, and it's kind of unfortunate that they do kind of sideline him for that final battle. They're like, you're gonna fight the Knights of Ren, and then because for some reason they have an allegiance towards the Emperor now. I don't know. It just, and I just want to see a good guy fight with a red lightsaber. I know it happens rarely, but like, just keep him with that red lightsaber, the weird one, or
Knights of Ren, that doesn't really mean that they belong to him.
Well, he formulated them, I think.
Did he? Okay.
I think I could be wrong about this, but they have the whole like Jedi crystals. You bleed them to make them red, or I should just say, kyber crystals, not Jedi crystals. But if you can break them free of that sadness and that anger, and kind of like break them free of all that stuff and kind of be in the middle, then it turns white. It would have been so cool if Kylo would have like taken that lightsaber and made it into a white lightsaber at the very end. That would have been neat. I would have been like, oh my goodness, like that's.
Have you seen a white lightsaber before?
Yes. So Ahsoka Tano has 2 white lightsabers, and like, it would have been, because it means like you're not good, not bad, just like right in the middle. It's like that would have been.
I really got to watch that series sometime.
Perfect. Anyway, I digress. I just think that'd be pretty cool. That would have been pretty cool. Yeah.
And she's dead, right?
Ahsoka?
Yeah.
We're not sure. I think she's last time we saw her, she was alive.
Is that series still going?
No. Rebels is done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, she was in Rebels or Clone Wars?
She was in both.
Okay, and in the movie?
And yes, she's in the Clone Wars movie. That's where she's introduced. But yeah, what else was I going to talk about there?
How did you feel about the Sith troopers?
Really,
the red troopers?
Nothing. They should have been cool. They should have been something. I felt like they're always like, and the new trooper, and I'm like, I still think the coolest ones are like the Death Troopers, like in Rogue One, like they're all black and you can't even understand what they're saying. It's like, but these new ones is like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're just more stormtroopers. Well,
their armor seemed to be stronger. They couldn't be pierced or something.
Could
like
they not? I don't know. I just felt like whatever.
Their final battle was all over the place, but
yeah, it was kind of hard to figure out some of the stuff. And they, reminds me of like they really sidelined Rose in this one. They kind of just like put her off to the side. They're like, okay, so
I don't care for that actress, and I don't care for her plot. I don't care for her story. With I think what her sister did was really cool. I don't think they needed to like, continue with that story in this one.
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of weird too because you kind of have this.
Again, the chick should have been in Last Jedi. Finn could have had that connection there.
Yeah.
And instead of like making a weird love triangle with like him, Poe, and Rey and Kylo, like there's just like this big love circle going. And
sure, yeah, which I thought in the beginning when Poe was fighting with Rey that they were kind of like trying to set up like a Han and Leia type situation where they kind of just like where have you been, and like why are you late, kind of this thing. I was like, there's something going on here, and then it's like, nope, Poe's got the bounty hunter and Finn's got this other person, and Rey and Kylo kind of have a kiss there for a second, which our theater did not know how to interact with that moment. They were like, there's like, I could hear people going, I don't know if they were happy or sad, but I was like,
I heard a couple gasps, and I was like, are those good gasps, or are those like, what?
It felt weird to me. Like, I get it.
I felt it was coming. They've had a strong, they've had this tension growing for the last couple films.
Sure. But do you think it was like romantic? I always felt like it was like this kind of weird, like doesn't make sense kind of relationship.
I thought it was fine. I thought it wasn't over the top romantic. I thought it was just fine.
Well, and then it was
kind of like she I'm saying goodbye to you because you're dead.
Well, she didn't know. That was the thing. It was like they kiss and then he's dead. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. It didn't punch the same way, I feel like, obviously, as like Luke and Vader. Like if one of them is gonna die and they're like slowly dying and they're like, hey, like this is my redemption moment. It would have been, I think maybe people would have said it would have been too much like Return of the Jedi if Kylo would have died saving Rey. But he still does. It's just not the same. It's not the same like slow burn, like they kind of have that. I don't know.
So do you think all along Palpatine actually doesn't know how to stop death, but his version of stopping death is just cloning?
Yeah, probably it. But then again, maybe he could teach others to like transfer their souls, like even if they weren't Force users, into clones. So maybe that's how he would get like Padme.
Oh yeah, because he's the embodiment of the Sith. So that's why if like she would have been the Empress, if she had struck him down, he would have taken over her body.
The problem was, what happened to Rule 2, buddy? Because there's always the Rule 2, and the Rule 2 has been kind of broken for a bit or kind of off. So it's like, you screwed up, man. And also, if he could just keep making clones, you could just follow the assumption that he's got at least 1 or 2 more clones on another planet somewhere else. You know, like
yeah. So at some point in the timeline, there's like 4 Sith alive. There's like Darth Maul, right? In Solo, he's alive at that moment.
Sure.
Darth Vader is
Yep.
Wait, Darth Vader would be alive at that moment.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. No, you're right. Because there's moments almost in Rebels where they almost meet, but they don't. So yeah, and then Palpatine.
Wouldn't they work together?
I don't think so. Yeah, that'd be a cool fight.
And then the Emperor is still alive, overarching all that.
And that is actually one of the coolest moments in, well, it's kind of a spoiler alert for Star Wars, Clone Wars. Palpatine finds out that Darth Maul's around, and he's like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. And then one of the coolest lightsaber fights you're ever maybe going to see is good old Palpatine going to clean up a mess. And it's like, oh my gosh, he just shows up.
He doesn't kill him, right? Obi-Wan kills him.
Yes, that's in Rebels. I'm sorry, everybody. These are spoilers for all these shows. But yes, he does kill him. It's a pretty quick fight, though. It's very quick. Yeah,
seems odd that Vader and Darth Maul wouldn't fight together.
Well, yeah. Vader might want to mess him up because he killed Qui-Gon, and he kind of cared about Qui-Gon. So I could see him being like, true. "I'm gonna kill you," like Yeah. But yeah, so there's obviously like the rule of 2 is not like it's more like a quick and dirty rule. Like it's it's not like it has to be. But I was kind of Palpatine kind of threw away the whole apprentice idea. Like I didn't really know what he was gonna do there. I was like, oh, is he gonna there's a huge arena. Is he gonna make him fight to the death? Like what's he gonna make him fight?
But he was like, no, you're gonna strike me down and you're gonna become the new Empress because I'm gonna take over your body.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of like a weird plan, but it was fine. I'm not sure.
So how much Sith does he have in him?
He's all the Sith now, I guess. Which, like, all the generations of Sith, like, knowledge, I should say. But, like, that doesn't mean if you went back to, like, the days of the Old Republic that all those, like, thousands of Sith couldn't take him. It's like...
So now the Sith are gone. So moving forward, like, what do you...
Exactly, like 10, 11, 12, like I doubt
Is there going to be like a rebirth of the Sith?
Well, what you do, I guess, is you just kind of
there you go.
Reverse Force Awakens.
Episode 10, the rebirth of the Sith. Like,
that would be sick. Like the Force is like, yeah, there's too much like light side users. We gotta bring the balance. Oh my gosh, I want to focus back in on the dark side.
We should hire to like freaking write these.
We're happy to do it, Disney. I would be happy to star in it. I wanna be the bad guy. It sounds so much fun. Yeah.
So reveal of Leia's lightsaber. How are your thoughts?
I thought it was gonna be yellow, like the extended universe stuff.
It should have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. That brief sequence where she's fighting Luke, I thought was kind of cool.
But she put it down though. She put the lightsaber down and she put it away.
She buried it.
Why?
Because they're not her lightsabers.
No. Leia, why did she put her lightsaber down? Why did she stop using it?
Oh, why? I don't know why she stopped being a Jedi.
I read an article about it and I was like...
Yeah, I'm not sure if she just stopped, like, she had to get into politics, but then all the politics were blown up in Force Awakens, so I don't know. I'm not sure. It is a little confusing. I guess it would have been a little jarring to see her CGI'd like Yoda in her old age to be like flipping around and attacking people and stuff. Yeah, and they probably would not have. That would have been.
I think that would have done her injustice or disjustice.
Yeah, and I think there was a quiet dignity with how they handled her in this one, which I thought was smart. I was like, okay, good for you guys. It didn't always fit in perfectly, but I think they.
I didn't quite care for that though. She's like, ooga booga, Kylo, and then he's like, oh, what? And then like she gets stabbed. Like, what? It's like he was used a distraction.
Yeah, that was
Rey wouldn't have won that fight without her.
That's true. Yeah, Kylo is kind of on a mission on this one, man. I really, I don't know. I like him. I do. I got a poster of him in my room. I like Kylo. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was nice to see that all the original trilogy cast, those 3 were back. That was fun. Oh, which we should just talk about Lando for a second. I thought Lando was fine. It was nice to see him. Yeah, it was like you see Wedge
They're just
for a
trying to do that
second.
nostalgia factor. Got to
Yep.
bring back as many old faces as they can.
I saw a really funny thing where it's like showing it in the movie Solo where Lando's like, I'm gonna get that ship back, and Han says, over my dead body, and then they just show a shot of Billy D. Williams as old as he is now, and just doing like a big smiling face while he's at the Falcon, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I guess he did get it back over Han's dead body. But yeah, I really didn't think Harrison Ford was gonna be in this one. When he showed up, I was like,
yeah. I also wish, well, not to jump around, but I wish Moss had done something cool in this film.
oh, Maz Kanata, she does nothing. Yeah. It's so sad.
She does have the ability to do cool stuff. Like,
she gives Chewie that medal though.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna say something about her boyfriend. I thought she was gonna be like, "Oh, I love you too," Chewie, like or something like that. I was like, "What are they doing with this?" Yeah, Maz was just kind of, yeah. I'd be like, Maz, where did you get that lightsaber? I really want to know. Who haven't we covered as far as characters go? I think that's almost everybody.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Kylo's your favorite? Kylo might be my favorite too. Besides Palpatine, which I wanted him to be a little kookier. He's very kooky in episode 3. I wanted more laughing. I wanted just like
I've always been a little I like and I hate him at the same time. I just hate him as like, oh, don't kill me. I hate that scene so much.
It's hard to watch, but I like that he goes full on pathetic. Like Anakin buys it. Like it's so funny. And then that smirk he gets on his face where Anakin makes his hand off, and he's just like, and they just, like,
you think Sammy J was happy he got to like kind of reprise his role for just a brief second?
Kind of. I think he still wants his own show, which I think they could Disney Plus that. They could Jedi Council show. Do it.
It's funny you can say that these days. Oh, they can Disney Plus that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people would sign on for it.
Potholes with your own movie.
Yeah, or just if you want to get somebody back in, just make a show for him. I like Poe more in this one. I think Finn is a little bit more tolerable than he has been. I think Rey's pretty good. She actually,
really noticed that.
I like that. Like Rey makes mistakes in this one. I like that she's having a hard time. Like she's not just perfect throughout it. I like that too.
You didn't like the TIE fighter scene where she cuts it. I love that scene where she jumps over it.
Oh, that was fine. No,
I love that scene.
That's fine. Oh no, I didn't have a problem with that. That's fine. I just meant like in this one.
I thought in the trailers you were like, it looks weird. You were like,
the jump still looks weird.
You think so?
And also when she's floating in the beginning, watch this when you see it in a couple of days, Levi. When she's floating in the beginning, she has all the rocks around her, and she goes to land. You can tell she's on wires. Like she kind of does like a front flip forward and like softly lands. I'm like, like don't. What's up with this weird wire work? I know they're doing flips in this one, but I feel like the flips aren't genuine. Not that the ones in the original trilogy were all genuine. Don't get me wrong, but
I thought that was badass as she cut it. He was not expecting that. What were you gonna do? Mow her down?
I don't know. I don't know why he was going to shoot her. I don't know. And like Kylo kind of gets out of that ship, and he's kind of doing this, like he's kind of pushing her. Kylo's, I don't know. I think there's too many characters in this movie. Was he trying to push
the ship away, or was he trying to just build tension?
I thought he was trying to like help, or he was trying to like force her to do something bad. I think, right? Yeah. So I don't know. It was weird. But I still enjoyed him. I think he was probably my favorite. He got better in this one.
Yeah.
I think everybody got better in this one. I felt like it was just like...
Yeah. Like Finn totally felt like an actual Star Wars character in this film.
Yes.
Not that he didn't in the last one, but in Force Awakens, he's like a... It's almost like they're like... I'm trying to think of politically correct way to say this. Like, oh, we need a lead African-American character. And it's like, but you don't have to make him like a modern... You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like... We're trying to make him like talk modern, and it's like he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whoa, did you see that? And it's like, yeah, you just defected like 10 minutes ago, and now you're killing your brothers and sisters, basically. It's like, come on, man. Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, he's gotten better in this one. I feel like it just, again, it reminds me a little bit of how I felt after Revenge of the Sith. I'm thinking to myself, what if George Lucas would have had another shot at that fourth movie, or whatever it would have been. Like, obviously the episode 4 is there, but like, what's the next movie he would have made? With JJ,
did you know that the thing with Palpatine was actually his idea?
Oh, like the cloning thing?
No, like the ending of Rise of Skywalker was his original idea.
Oh, with like him coming back and like being killed.
Yeah,
the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I still wish I kind of wish they would have just figured out the schedule with JJ just to like see what episode 8 would have been his version, because obviously he's into TV and he loves to kind of make all these like, oh, these mystery box things and, you know, all these questions and then kind of answering them slowly over time. And I feel like a lot of this movie had to go back and say like, oh, this thing didn't happen, don't worry about it, or like, we're not going to talk about this anymore, which I guess we didn't talk about Luke. I like seeing Luke back, and there's definitely that moment where he grabs the lightsaber before Rey can throw it into the fire, you know, on Octu, and he's like, you know, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect than this. I felt like that was just such like a nod to the fans, like, we know you got really angry at the beginning of Last Jedi, and we were sorry about that. Like, that's what that felt like to me. Did it feel that way to you too?
I thought he was just being cheeky because he's like saying I did it.
Oh,
but,
okay.
You know, but I know people had a problem with him raising up his X-Wing and not her. And people were like, how the hell is she flying his X-Wing? Because at one point he's using like part of the X-Wing as like a door to his house.
Sure. He fixed it. I liked that he did it because after watching Empire recently, it's cool to see him actually, and it's like the same exact pose he did. He couldn't get it to work last time, and they're kind of playing the Yoda theme, and I was like, that's cool. Like, he did it. Yeah. It was like he finally got to that point where he was that strong. I was like, ah. I wanted to see him face off against Palpatine, though. Like, just have a moment where he's like, I thought you were dead, man. Like, I was pretty sure. I was pretty sure. Like, oh my gosh. Like, that would have been so great. You think they knew that
Palpatine was alive? They knew that Rey was Palpatine's kid.
Well, they
which
heard...
is why...
Well, how did they know that she was Palpatine's kid?
It's just... I read an article that, like, Luke and Leia knew that it was...
Oh, something like...
Palpatine's kid, so that's why they sent her to train with Leia.
That's what, yeah. Or did they say that in the movie somewhere too, or something? Yeah, you're right. Because I remember hearing about this too. I wanted more Luke though. I wanted more of that classic Luke. I really wanted to see him interact with Ghost Anakin for just 2 seconds. Like, you know, I just feel like it was a missed opportunity there with some of those Force ghosts. I thought for sure we'd get more of them, but Force Leia at the end, and we didn't get Force Ben. I thought for sure we'd see Force Kylo, you know, on Tatooine. Like, I thought
it would have been super perfect just to have all these Force ghosts come out and like maybe put a hand on her or just like helped her.
Sure.
Like, you see Yoda, you see Mace Windu, you see.
Gosh. That would have been like, that shot, man, like truly epic. Like, where she, you know, it's like, you know, he's like, I am all the Sith, and they kind of, you know, I am Iron Man, basically what she did. Yeah. She's like, I am all the Jedi, and they kind of pan back, and it's like, you know, that group standing behind her, and just like thousands of them, and they're like the ones you know are up front, and oh my god, I would have been like, that's it. Like,
see, and that's like the thing with like, I feel like they're trying to do like that Avengers backup army move, or like the like backup army move.
Sure.
Like it didn't really work in this one because like, well, we understand the backup armies that come and save the day.
Yeah.
For those other films, like, they mean something.
Yes, exactly.
There was a build up to them. Like, there was no build up to random people coming from the galaxy. Like, and it's cool. They all answered the call this time. I get that they talked about it, but maybe a company or something that like, oh, this company, we've been trying to get a hold of them. Maybe they'll come save us, you know?
And that's the question with like, if, again, and I'm not saying this is how it would have worked, but if Abrams would have done 8, would we be introduced to at least, you know, 5 or 10 of these people, and then would have shot to the, you know, the cockpits of all these things, and it would have been like, oh my god, it's that, they're back, like, you know, like, yes, they're here and they're fighting. Like, that would have been like, oh, like.
Do you feel like Marvel is like, we could have done this better?
Well, I felt like that Marvel ending was very Endgame, wasn't it? Where I am all the Sith. I was like, oh, they're just doing this again. What if she would have screamed out, I am Rey Skywalker? That would have been, people would have been so frustrated. That would have been great.
I almost want to see what it would look like to see if Marvel made a Star Wars movie.
Oh, if only they were working on one. I think Kevin Feige might be. I've heard that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They talked about that a while ago. Like, he's finally given, I was like, that sounds like the best Star Wars movie. You're like, he's like, so here's the thing, what we're gonna do. He's like, we're gonna make like 30 Star Wars movies, but here's all the seeds we're gonna plant in this one. Like, I can see him just, he's like, excellent. He's like, I will be the Palpatine of this new Star Wars franchise. Yeah, I think that's going down, because that sounds pretty rad. I love that guy, and he knows what he's doing. He's had his missteps in the past, don't get me wrong, but he's learned from them.
Yeah.
Overall, though, Levi, we've been talking about this for over an hour. Where does it sit in all the Star Wars for you right now, or at least this trilogy? Is it the top, the bottom, the middle? Where does it sit for you?
All right, give me a sec.
Uh-oh, he's got a list. Do you have an actual list? Whoa.
Empire Strikes Back.
This is,
Rogue One,
oh, sorry, top.
Rise of Skywalker. All right, I'll start over. Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, Rise of Skywalker,
Whoa.
Return of the Jedi, Last Jedi, A New Hope, Force Awakens, Solo, Episode 3, 1, and 2. And I'm just kidding, by the way. This isn't my list. One of my favorite bands made this list, and I was like, interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. Solo would be at the very bottom of my list.
Okay.
I feel like Solo is probably the worst Star Wars movie out there.
Oh, okay.
Would you agree?
I don't
No?
know. I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree.
Do you think A New Hope is...
I'm not talking about New Hope. Episode
What-
1's got a lot of problems.
Phantom Menace?
I like things about
What?
Phantom Menace. I like things
There's
about
a
Phantom Menace.
Gungan War?
I understand the Gungan War. I do. I really do. I don't know.
Okay, so I think...
You don't have to rank them all right now. You can just talk about this one. Where does it sit? At least in this trilogy, because I know that Joe's gonna want to go through and.
Oh, mine would go Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, and then Force Awakens.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm.
Interesting.
I really do like... There's a lot to The Last Jedi that I really like.
Do you have a score
There's a
for
lot
it?
of- The
You don't
Last
have to.
Jedi?
Or no,
or
Rise
Rise
of Skywalker.
8.5 out of 10.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. I hover around there too, I think. But I think for me it's Rise, Force Awakens, Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. See,
That's
I
just
don't-
me though. That's just
I
me.
don't know. Yeah,
You know?
there's a lot that I really, really like about Last Jedi.
What are those things?
I love the acting.
Okay.
I just feel like the acting is superb. Like, I like Luke Skywalker's acting. I
Sure.
like Rey's acting. Kylo Ren, like, he's like, bring that hunk of ship or whatever he says, like, bring that bucket of bolt or whatever out of the sky. And I love the like passion he puts into that.
Sure.
It's like screaming.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just watched it again recently and it wasn't my cup of tea. And I think it just introduced a few things that were just kind of rough story wise. And I
I
feel
like a lot of imagery too of like that salt planet.
Oh,
Super
Crate.
freaking cool.
Yeah.
Love Crate, yeah.
it's just that battle makes just absolutely no sense.
It is, some parts of it are dumb.
And also the throne room fight scene, while it looks cool, if you go back and watch it, the choreography's all over the place. Like there's one moment where Rey kicks 3 guys at the same time, and some guy's holding 2 knives at one point and loses one of them. It's like, what? I'm sorry. This started thinking.
Sure.
It bothers me.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just parts to Force Awakens. God, I don't know.
The problem with Force Awakens though too is like,
it's
George
just so cliche.
Well, George Lucas
Like,
even said he's like, there's nothing new here. That's true, but it's a tried and true formula, so that's why I think they were like, just make it. Just don't do anything crazy with it. We'll go crazy with the next one. And that's the weird thing about this trilogy is that you can tell that they seem reactionary. Like Last Jedi seems reactionary to Force Awakens, and this one seems reactionary to The Last Jedi. And I think that's the issue that some people are having, is that it doesn't seem like there was a cohesive, kind of narrative through all of this. And maybe one reason I think some people like Last Jedi is it feels like it's just like a little snippet of Star Wars. Like it's just like one chase, one kind of thing that kind of perpetuates the rest of these problems. But this one feels like back to like, we are planet hopping and we got things, we got to find a thing, and we got to find a dagger that you could pull out a thing and you can look at the Death Star and it'll show you where. I was like, what the, like, I get it, but at the same time I was like, what? It just
I don't know. Maybe
weird, right?
maybe to me, it's still gotta be like Rise of Skywalker, and then it's gotta be like the good parts of Last Jedi and the good parts of the Force Awakens, meld them together.
Can we just I want to do this for all trilogies. Maybe not Lord of the Rings. I would love to just have a super cut where someone just takes out whoever wants to go in, you go in and you take out the things you don't like and just smash it into one movie, and you're like, oh, my version of the most recent Star Wars trilogy is 7 hours, and like someone else is like, well, mine's only 3. Like people just cut out things. They're like, I made the movie that I wanted, like, because really there's
That's what they did with The Hobbit, which it seems awesome.
well, like Topher Grace, where's that cut, man? I want to see it. But there's something to like, I think, in all these movies, regardless of where you fall on this. And it's so cool, I think, that we live in a world where Star Wars still means this much to us. And we get so frustrated and excited and sad and happy about this thing that, like, really only exists up here. You know what I mean? Like, we have all the merchandise and stuff, but like it really just exists in our minds. And I
Yeah.
think with the Mandalorian being out, with Jedi Fallen Order, I feel like it eases the blow a little if you really hated this movie, because there's just so much Star Wars stuff out there right now. It's not like we're, back in the day when Phantom Menace came, there was like, we just didn't have Star Wars stuff, for that amount of time. It was like 16 years. And then
there was a drought between 3 and 7.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like,
which is filled with like cartoons or animation projects, which is like, what?
And now it's like, there's so much Star Wars. So regardless how you feel, I want people to let us know and comment and tell us what they thought of it, because I really want to hear why people like it or hate it, because it seems like Twitter is just, you are either just far one way or far the other. Like, you can't, there's no one who's just like, I liked it. Like, like we're trying to say. There was a
Korg in that, wasn't there?
There was, when she was back on Octu, because it made a little noise, and I was like, oh, Levi probably liked that little Korg. Yeah, I think it's good. I think there's good in all of these movies, to be honest with you. In each one of them, I can find something I really, really like. And there's plenty in this one that I really liked. There's plenty in Last Jedi that I really liked. There's plenty in
There's flaws, but every Star Wars movie has flaws.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's just that, because I think we're so passionate and hypercritical about these movies because we love them so flippin' much.
Except Rogue One. Rogue One might actually be the only Star Wars movie that... Do you think?
That is what?
That maybe is the most tried and true Star Wars film?
Oh, just like straightforward Star Wars?
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what you mean by straightforward Star Wars.
I mean, like, no over the top fan service except for Darth Vader.
Oh, is that what tried and true Star Wars is to you?
I don't know. Well, I feel like a lot of Star Wars leans on nostalgia,
Sure. And you know what? You know what? Star Wars, if there's fan service in there, you know what? Star Wars is existing because of the fans. So if there's more fan service in there, who cares? Like, you know what? If they would have put another Darth Vader hallway sequence in this movie, I would have been like, yes, I don't even care. If they would have just spliced it in and didn't say anything, I'd applause. I'd be like, oh, that's beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm cool with the fan service. And there was plenty of nods to that. And this one, it felt really like they were trying to get the fans back. Like, it felt... I shouldn't say all the fans, because people love Last Jedi, but if there was a lot in here was like, we should try the Holdo maneuver, and they're like, oh, we can't do that because it doesn't work. And I was like,
well, it's interesting to me that the critics for Last Jedi were a lot more positive.
Yes,
but fans were not happy. A lot of fans were very divided.
Yeah,
and this one, critics are panning.
Yep,
Rise of Skywalker, but fans are still middled, but mostly positive, I feel.
That's why I just wonder too, because as someone who's a super duper low level critic, not even probably even to that, I don't know what. I guess it depends on what your background is for critiquing things, because maybe as an actual film, which it's art, so it's subjective, so I don't know what a perfect film would be. I'm sure people out there are I can think of some, but maybe it's because the pacing, it's really fast. This movie does not, like you said, Levi, it does not breathe. It is 2.5 hours of it is just constantly going. And I like that. I like it when it's moving, because it feels stressful, and it's Star Wars. It should feel, it's conflict. But maybe that's one of the reasons they didn't I don't know why people, if they just felt like it tried to kind of overturn all the stuff in Last Jedi, and if you're a critic that liked Last Jedi, it was kind of a slap in the face, or kind of I'm not sure if because it does kind of undercut pretty much the entirety of the gravitas in The Last Jedi for the most part. Right? Am I right?
Which part?
Well, Luke's death, Snoke's death.
Luke died biding them time to get away.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. But he's a ghost. He's a Force ghost now, so even though he's dead, it's it doesn't really matter. Right?
I think there's something random that kind of bugs me. Is they always kind of make it seem like there's no resistance left. It's 30 people.
Yeah.
But then they're killing them left and right, in these ships and these X-wings, and what? How many people are actually left in this thing?
Well, that's the thing too. Yeah, because they kind of call out, and they even say in this one, they're yeah, we called out at Crate and nobody came. And I wonder if that's because Rian Johnson didn't want it to end like every other a Star Wars movie in that way, where it's that whole crazy group just shows up and blows up all those AT-ATs.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I just don't know, man. There's just moments that I guess for me, if I'm gonna cap off a saga, for what I would have done, and I think everybody looks at it that way, but I just would have made it so fan servicey. People would have hated it.
Yeah.
Like I would have been like, there would have been a moment where Luke Skywalker shows up and he wouldn't have been dead, you know, in my perfect vision. And stormtroopers see him and they're like, "Is that Luke Skywalker?" And they just like throw their guns down and run away. Like that's what you want. You want like someone they're like, "Oh my god, it's him!" Like, you know, like because it just reaffirms your love for the characters, you know, and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is going to be talked about for a long time. Obviously, like we're still talking about The Last Jedi, and it's so funny. Like it's hard not to think about all the other stuff going on outside of the film when you watch these things now, which is kind of sad because I kind of like when I watch Endgame, I don't think like, oh well, you know, the Russos did Infinity War, but you know, before that it was Joss Whedon who did those first two movies, and Joss is pretty unhappy with how things have turned out. You know, like I don't. That's not a thing. Like it's just kind of like it's just moved on. You know, it's just changed up, and maybe Endgame is very different than how Joss Whedon would have done it if he would have done it. But it's weird. I still don't know if Rian Johnson's still making a trilogy or not. I keep hearing people say that he is.
I thought he walked away.
I thought he walked away too, or was going to make one movie. I don't know, because a lot of people say like Knives Out's really good, and I just think
Knives Out is really good.
Just let him do. I just say like just that's the trick. Is like give for someone like that who wants to kind of do his own thing, give him a Rogue One type of scenario. Be like, do whatever you want with it. Do just whatever. It's like
didn't he do that with Last Jedi?
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is like it was kind of divisive. I think this is why.
But that's hard to make a middle movie too.
Yeah, that's why I feel like hard to make a middle movie, especially after J.J. Abrams planted all those things, and he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not gonna really do anything with those. So I don't know. It's so hard. And again, you don't want to give somebody like Abrams like all the power over something like that. It's just tricky. I don't know. It's I do not envy anybody who has to direct or write a Star Wars film, because I feel like no matter what you do, someone's gonna be frustrated. Like just no matter what. But yeah, having said that, I would love to be in one day. Even if I have to be a stormtrooper, I'd be happy to do it. I would just, oh my gosh, Star Wars is just so cool. Like you hear the music, you see the title crawl stuff. It gets me every time. It does. Yeah. Last thing, music. Music was pretty good in this one. John Williams coming back, obviously. It didn't strike me the same way as some of his other stuff did.
I feel like we just have heard it all too many times.
Sure. Maybe that's it. And it's not to critique John Williams because he's obviously amazing. It's just like I didn't stand out. We did get some of the Imperial March stuff here and there, and I was like, more of that.
I'm excited to hear a new Star Wars score.
Yes, which I know Michael Giacchino did it for Rogue One, I think, which that was kind of fun to have that change up a little bit. He's a very good composer. But yeah, I would love to see other people get a shot. And like for The Mandalorian, it's like Ludwig Göransson or something like that. He does that really cool like kind of bass theme. Like, that is perfect for that show. It's just, oh god, I really like The Mandalorian. I really do. Yeah, gosh, I love that show. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker. What did you guys think about it? Favorite character, least favorite character, favorite moment? Did we talk about a favorite moment? I know I talked kind of about mine. I love that intro sequence with Kylo. Did you have a favorite moment there, Levi?
I think my favorite moment with him would be his redemption with his dad.
I spent like a general.
With Kylo?
No, in the whole film. Like in this whole film, was there a moment or a scene?
Like a moment, not even with Kylo?
Yeah, just any.
Oh, I thought you said Kylo.
I said because I like that moment in the beginning where he's taking those people down. It's great.
That's a cool film, or that's a cool part. I think it would have to be like him and Rey fighting Palpatine, yeah. Like him fighting Knights of Ren, and then yeah.
I like seeing Palpatine with his little yellow eyes again. It was great. I wanted more of him. I really did, because Ian McDiarmid is just so flippin' good, man. Ugh, it's just weird to think that he was the guy behind all of it. I get it, but it just feels like they used Andy Serkis for nothing. Like they just are like, you will be Snoke, and they're like, and you will die, and it's just like
Andy Serkis was Snoke.
Yeah, he was Snoke.
I didn't even know that.
He's so good. Oh, Andy Serkis is just the bee's knees. Yeah, it bums me out a little bit. Think if we could have gotten Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh gosh, we could have gotten him back, but it would have been Ewan McGregor, so that would have been kind of weird. Yeah. I don't know. They could have just done the Alec Guinness and just made him not move, just standing still. I just wanted those Force Ghosts. Did you want those Force Ghosts? Can we agree on that?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
why I thought it'd be super cool to see like Mace come out and
Yeah, that would have been great.
whatever actress they decided to play for Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons they didn't. Or at the very least, just Anakin. Just Anakin
Yeah.
coming back, and then like Palpatine seeing him and being like, "What?" Like he's like, "No," you know.
I
Uh,
wanted Sammy J's moment.
oh yeah, he'll get his. Don't worry, he'll show back up at some point. Uh, anyway, yeah, I think that kind of wraps up. Is there anything else you want to say about Rise of Skywalker before we just kind of wrap up the show here?
Nah, I think I'm good.
All right, excellent. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We usually do like a time killers or community feedback and questions, but for this week, the community feedback and question will just let us know what you thought of the show. Our show. I would love for you to tweet us with the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can tweet us on Twitter. We are at GoCritical, or you can tweet at me personally. I'm at JimmyGood013. If you'd like to tweet at Levi, though, they can tweet at.
I'm at Levi Fletcher.
Perfect. And I think Joe's popped up there as well. So Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver only with an L. We know. And next week, I think we'll be talking about Return of the Jedi. I think we're going to force Joe to finally get through the original trilogy because he keeps asking a bunch of questions and it's like, just watch the movie. So I'm excited to have him finally watch that one. And I think he'll like it. I think he'll like Dark. I'm going to say this right now. He's going to like Dark Luke in the beginning where he's force choking the Gamorrean guards. He's going to like the Rancor. And he's gonna like the Emperor. He's gonna be like, "Oh, I like the lightning. Let's more lightning." So yeah, I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. But thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. I really do appreciate it. And if you ever have a question, like I said, send it to us on Twitter or on our Discord. Let's get a conversation going. We have a Discord thread now that's all about Rise of Skywalker. So go on over there. We can hang out. We can chill. If you guys need the Discord link, if you can't get it, just let me know. I will get it to you. And yeah. Until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye. Oh, and go support us on Patreon, all that stuff too. Thank you, bye! Nailed it. All right, that was a really good run through. Are you ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.